Good morning, friends. I don't have an ATC today. I just made another tag. So I bought these black tags, like a little packet of them, and it wasn't very much. I think it probably Hobby Lobby or Joann's or Michael's. So, or maybe even, online. What is it called? Amazon. So anyway, I did kind of a mermaid theme. So I've got a captain's wheel here, and I tried to make this look kind of green, but it was hard because it's a very, very delicate paper. And I don't think it's supposed to be seaweed, but I wanted it to look like seaweed. And then I had some, I thought was lace, but it's actually a hem out of a very old garment that somebody ripped out. And it's really, really delicate. So I snipped it in little pieces to try to make it look like seaweed. I don't know. If I had a shell, I'd put it on here, but I don't. Well, I have a few shells, but they're the ones that my husband's gathered off beaches from around the world, and I'm not willing to part with them. Okay, and then this is my last mermaid, I think. They were buttons that I got from Joann's years ago. And so she's hanging on there to the seaweed as mermaids do. So I'm going to stick this in my granddaughter, Miss Patience. She will be 11 years old next month. Oh, well, no, July. I can't believe it. It may as well be next month because it's nearing the end of June. Anyway, so there's that. And I am going to show you a book real quick for Thursdabooktube, but it's just going to be kind of quick. I don't want to keep you all. I've got things going on. I'm so close to, I'm not close. Let me say I'm halfway done organizing all of my stuff for my crafting and my YouTubing stuff, my art supplies, all of that. I told you that yesterday. I think I'm making room in that bookshelf in there. I'm taking the table down. We'll be having company for 4th of July, I'm sure, and so I don't want all this stuff out. I have he'll be 4 next month, a 4-year-old little grandson who would just love, 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 I'm sure, to see everything. You know how they are. Okay, I'll show you the book. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do my intro now. My name is Kendra. I live in Washington State. I have grown children. I have grandchildren. I retired about 5 years ago, actually when we bought this house, so 5.5 years ago, and moved. We were still in the same community, but we just moved into the sticks, away from the city and Anyway, I have a book here, and it goes with Thursdabooktube, and that is hosted by Patti and Daphne, and I'm going to put their cards, their information up, or just their information so you can find them. Anybody can get it on this. You just show a bookcase you fixed, show a library visit, show a cookbook recipe, anything to do with books at all, even comic books, even magazines. Okay, should say reading, right? Okay, Hygeia, A Woman's Herbal, by Janine, and I'm going to mess up her last name, but I think it's Parvati. Okay, so Janine, let me tell you about her. She is actually, she was born in California, in Hollywood, and she was, what was she? Let's go through this. She was a midwife, a mentor, an author. She was a teacher, mother, wife. She died in 1949. I'm sorry, she was born in 1949. She died after a 2-year battle with Hep C. And that, everyone, the story goes that, anybody in the medical community back in the day, she died, I'm sorry if I can't remember this right, I want to say 11 or 12 years ago. She worked with needles. She was a midwife. She was also a yoga instructor. She founded a college to train midwives in Sonoma, California. She did that for 10 years while she worked there in the community. Anyway, sadly, a lot of medical professionals, or not that midwives are medical professionals, they're not. They're more like mountain guides, here's a big mountain and how we're going to climb it kind of thing. and they're there for emergencies. And other than that, most midwives, and I'm talking about home birth midwives, most home birth midwives are really there just to rah-rah and only get involved if it has to be an involvement, like mom just can't go on, she needs to transfer to a hospital, or mom needs some kind of a different position that nobody's thought of yet, that kind of thing. And I worked in a midwife practice, so that's where my background comes from on this kind of thing. And I taught birth classes, and I encapsulated placenta for mothers that wanted placenta for herbal reasons and for healing reasons and that kind of thing. And I didn't usually talk about that because it skeeves a lot of people out. Okay, now then, here is the book, and it's beautiful, and I believe she did all of the illustrations in here. And I'm going to have to be careful with pictures because there's a lot of things that I could get popped for, by the powers that be here on YouTube. Right off the get-go here, she did not do all of the illustrations. There's loads of credits here and what pages they can be credited. So, printed in Berkeley, California, a Freestone Collective book. Doesn't that just scream California? So, in this book, she's teaching the feminine and healing. And she's got, this is not something I'll get in trouble for. This is just a picture of healers. A lot of midwives are big into labyrinths, and there's stuff like that in here. A Woman's Herbal by Janine Parvati, drawings by Tamara Slayton Glenn, calligraphy by Quill, isn't that sweet? Quill Cleaver, I love that. And then we've got this really sweet drawing. And Hygeia is the Greek goddess of health. And here we go. This is such a good book. I kind of get choked up when I talk about it or think about it because it took me through so much learning, breaking away from mainstream. Not that mainstream's bad. There are people that need it bad, like the ones that transfer from home birth, the ones that don't feel safe at home. They feel safe at the hospital. So anyway, it starts out with how to best use this book. And it's got on the rag, other menstrual rituals. So interesting. Herbal recipes for cramps and things like that. Infertility, herbal birth control. We go on and on and on. Herbs for the mind. Back in the day, when this was written in California, things were like that, balance and toners. Pregnancy, childbirth, lactation, childbirth, the harvest, placenta recipes, nursing, lactation again, talks about dangerous herbs for nursing, pregnancy, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm going to stop for a sec. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that there are words that I don't use that are in here, that women back in the day were taking their power back by using them themselves. And I think, in my head, they're hateful words for women's body parts. So, and you hear people use them in a hateful way nowadays. So that's in there. And, that's okay. It was the time. I used to be so into moon cycles, when I had my own cycles, and then it goes right into it. Teaching our daughters and our people in our communities about, birth control through menses and that kind of thing. Nope, we didn't show anything there. Okay. So anyway, making your own. The moon again. Such an herbal book. It talks about the herbs, and this has just got a drawing of chamomile. And so it's going to go right into rituals. Herbs for rituals. Take it away because I don't know what it's going to show. Okay. using herbs for different things. Nutritional herbal recipes. Calcium tea. What's this one? Iron broth. Raspberry leaf tea. That raspberry leaf tea is so good for everything. It's just good for you. Whether you're of childbearing age or pregnant or someone with cramps because of your period, it's wonderful for you. And there's that. I used to keep it in the house. On my last birth, I was 3 days past due, and I knew I'd be pregnant forever. And so I chugged raspberry leaf tea all day and I scrubbed the bathtub so I'd be hands and knees because that'll bring the baby down. I worked in the garden for the day. It was actually May 28th, 2000, when this was going on, close to that day. And that baby right now is going to be 25. Fertility herbs. Here's a copy of a fertility recipe from 1550 BC. Wow. Yeah, and here we go. Herbs for the mind. What's this one? Marijuana. Is that legal where you live? It is here in Washington State now. Has been for quite a while. I used it for my dog for pain, and then found out I could have killed the dog because I didn't use the right one. Thankfully, I didn't. Look at these drawings. They're just amazing. Coming off the pill. And you know, back in the day, the pill was a lot harder on people than it is now. It was bad stuff. I mean, stronger. I shouldn't say bad stuff. It was just not as tweaked as it is now. Pregnancy and growing it, childbirth, the harvest. She's likening it to herbs and plants, see? Placenta recipes. I can't keep turning the page because I know. So this talks about nursing twins, which was a lost art. You know, there were a lot of women who went out and repaved it for the women like me. This one is pregnancy, childbirth, and lactation herbs. I also made lactation teas and herbal bath tea. So it's just page after page of this, and I would never have known how to do what I did if it hadn't been for women that left records like this. All right, I got menopause and the change. Well, I should have gotten back to this, and I didn't. I had some dark times, but it wasn't horrific. You know, it was just some dark times. And people probably thought I was crazy because I dealt with it in a crazy way. I'm lucky that's an okay picture. Or I'd had to stop it. Here's a bunch of information on using placenta for rituals and for recipes. And I made chocolate truffles. I made art. I made tincture, and women like her taught me to do it. And I only saw in person my own self, one woman have her placenta tartare, meaning raw. And the midwife that was with me left the room. And I was so, I just couldn't stand it. I had to watch. You know, I had to see the look on her face, the way she did it. Oh, she was such a good mama, too. Not because she ate her placenta, but because everything she did was done with such love. She came to me through my classes. And through my classes, I got to know her and know her feelings and that kind of thing. And I brought her into midwifery. Like, I used to say to the midwife, she followed me, can we keep her? Because you can't, just not everybody can have a home birth, you know. You have to have health and the training with, you know, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, that kind of thing. Here she's got on circumcision, which was being, at the time of this book, was being done routinely. And now there's a lot of, and there's bump stories. I love birth stories, bump stories. Here we got her and furthermore. And it starts out with her saying, don't douche. um, about making tea. I'm trying to make sure there's nothing in here that's controversial. Like I haven't said anything controversial. Okay, there's exactly what I thought would happen at the bottom here. And the index. Herbs and botanical names, herbs and common names, and a general index for you. Here's the book, the very back of it, and it's got all of the notes, and you paid a grand total of $9 back in the day. I just looked it up on YouTube. No, I'm sorry. Goodness gracious. I looked it up on Amazon, and it's $44 now. I don't know if this book would be considered trash because it's been so well loved. I wasn't the first person to have this book. A midwife gave it to me, and I bet she wasn't the first person to have it. And if I could find a student midwife, or even a nurse who wants to be a midwife, you know, I would pass this along. It's meant to be passed along, I think. So anyway, there's that, and that is the end of my whole thing. Life with Patti, thank you. And, oh boy, our mountain home and kitchen, thank you. Patti and Daphne, thank you for hosting Thursday BookTube.